Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Our Stars and Stripes and Maple Syrup. We have Toronto's Justin Warner with us. Justin, thank you for joining us.
No problem, Gav. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So we're going to review the Wigan game. We might look back at Swansea last week, but we didn't have anybody available. Before we get going, don't forget to hit the subscribe and the like button. That way I know I'm not just doing this for myself. And Justin, who tends to listen while he's working out on the treadmill. All right, Justin, let's kick into it. So an unusual formation to start off with. Obviously, he brought Sirkin in, kept with Alessi, or at least however you want to say it. And I wasn't quite sure how we were lining up at first.
Yeah, I think we were all puzzled to see how the team was going to line up. And there was a suggestion before the game that with Evans dropping out, they might put 09 into midfield. That patently didn't happen. And pulled a bit of a switcheroo by playing Sirkin back in the left of the back three and playing Alessi as the left wing back, when I would have thought probably that it would have been the other way around. So Alessi's done pretty well in the past few games in that position. But yeah, I think
I've been over the moon with Alessi since he came in.
I agreed. I think he's been probably one of our best signings so far this year.
And we've had some good signings.
Yep.
So from what I could work out, we were three at the back, obviously, on 9 on the right and Sirkin on the left. And then I thought that was leaving us a little bit light in that defensive midfield with Embleton and Neil, neither of whom are natural ball winners.
Yep.
I'm surprised that Mateti wasn't in there from the off, but it seemed to work. I mean, obviously, Embleton got us the goal that ultimately won, got us level.
Yep.
But was lucky to stay on the pitch.
Well, you could argue he was a bit unlucky to get. I don't know whether he was unlucky to get booked for it. It was, I think, in slow motion, it looked worse than it probably was. And Charlie White was making a meal out of anytime anybody touched him, basically. So it was hard to have too much sympathy for him. But
I mean, no sympathy for White. I mean, but I thought he went up with his stud showing. I mean, they both went in for it.
Yeah.
Obviously, White got there first, but with Embo having his stud showing when he hit White in the ankle, I thought.
Yeah, I think if we'd been blessed with VAR, it might have been a different outcome potentially. But you could probably say the same about some of the other decisions that were made through the game as well. But
I thought the referee was poor again today.
Yeah, I know when we got promoted, we were expecting better things, and the standard of refereeing really hasn't been a whole lot better than
No, he was a Premier League referee not long ago, wasn't he?
I believe he was. Yeah, he was just incredibly inconsistent, I thought. And it was just not one of his better performances. I would hesitate to say.
I felt as though we bossed the game. I think the only shot on target that Wigan actually had was their goal.
Yeah, I think the problem that we had was that we were having a lot of possession, but not doing a huge amount with it, particularly in the first half. I mean, the ever unpredictable Patrick Roberts on the right was always coming in on his left foot. Admittedly, he did pretty well, and I think McLean was lucky not to get booked a whole lot earlier than he did do, because he had more than a few nibbles at Roberts' ankles.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But going back to your point about the midfield, there are a couple of times where the sort of ball was being knocked around the back, and you could just kind of see there was this huge chasm of space in the middle of the park where there was just nobody. And I think Neil and Embleton, I wouldn't say they went missing, but there was a lack of presence in central midfield.
Now obviously we know that I'm not Corry Evans' biggest fan, but he was definitely missing today.
Yeah, I'd heard that rumor. But
I don't know what it is he does, but whatever it is, we missed it.
Yeah, whatever it is he does, we needed him to do it today. So yeah.
And so look, I mean, we finished the first half with Wigan taking the lead. I'd say it was against the run of play. I think that Sirkin could have done better to be a little bit tighter to him in the box. I thought he gave him too much space. Obviously, with someone like with White, we've seen from our own benefit how deadly he can be in the box. So it was not a surprise that he was the one who scored.
Yeah, I think the move came about because O'Nien had pushed up to try and pinch the ball and ended up missing it. And then obviously span around to try and close down their guy on the left-hand side. And then was unlucky, I guess, to get a touch to cushion the ball into White's path. But yeah, it was kind of our own doing, to be honest. It was, I think we gave possession away higher up the field. They just counted on us.
Yeah, it was O'Nien who gave away possession on the halfway. And obviously he came back and wasn't quite able to get in the way of it and fell nicely to White. But other than that, Wigan didn't look a threat.
No, I think going into the game, obviously we were wary of Broadhead, White, and McLean being able to break us down, but they really did nothing. I thought the formation worked in as much as McLean was pinned back by Roberts, and really it was just Charlie White was just flicking on long balls, and that was pretty much it. They looked a threat from set pieces, but who doesn't look a threat against us at set pieces?
Against our Munchkin defence, yeah.
Exactly.
And look, I mean, it looked bad in the first half, especially when we went 1-0 down. And I think I was as frustrated as I've been all season with the fact that we haven't looked to bring anybody in. I know that Sims is still another couple of weeks away. I don't think we're expecting to see Stuart back before Christmas, or at least till after the World Cup. And I was like, it's crying out for a striker.
Yeah.
I think if you look at the games we've had since we lost with those two lads, I think if you'd had Sims or Stuart playing today, we could have had 4 or 5 comfortably. I think against Swansea.
I think the problem that we have now is that we did fairly well when they first dropped out. It was a fluid, total football performance, but teams have now worked out that they just need to compact defence and let Roberts run at them from the halfway line. It'll eventually disappear up his own arse. And not very much.
With playing Jack Clark up front, we've got nobody on the left side to cut in on his right. And
there were a couple of times when we had breaks on where you could see that Clark was still making the runs of a left winger. He wasn't making the runs of a centre forward. He wasn't cutting in towards the near post. He was sort of parking his runs out wide. We really are crying out for
the question
to fill in as centre forward.
The question that comes in is obviously we have the under 23s and whatever you call them these days and the youth team. The fact that we don't have a striker in the lower ranks capable of getting on the bench has to be a worrying sign. I mean, I've heard calls for Thompson to come on.
They're not doing great, are they?
I don't think they've recovered from being asset stripped by Methven and Stuart Donald.
Yeah.
But again, if it's a long-term project, if it's a long-term build that Dreyfus is doing, you would have thought that there would have been someone at under 23 level capable of making the bench.
Yeah, I think Tony Mowbray's comments about Thompson during the week were pretty telling, and he's basically said he's not ready, he's not good enough to play in the first team consistently, and perhaps we lack depth, perhaps all the way down to under 18 at centre forward level, and I guess we're unfortunate in as much as obviously Sims and Stuart got injured at the same time. And it seemed to be, Christian Speedman seemed to think that we were ultimately looking to play 3 up front, so a centre forward with 2 wingers off. Whereas for whatever reason we were playing two, Simpson Stewart in tandem. So you could argue that we had a number one striker and one in reserve, but that didn't really hold us in good stead. If one of them got injured, and for both of them to get injured, kind of screwed. But
I think it's kind of karma coming back in the fact that we didn't have Stewart and
injured
practically all of last season.
True.
So.
But at the same time, I mean, when we had the talking with Speedman, with the NASA guys, I mean, Speedman did say that they had an agreement with Broadhead for him to come, and it was his choice to go to Wigan. They obviously had left it too late to be able to do very much in the transfer market once that fell through. Perhaps that was a mistake, and then obviously they were holding out for Stewart and Sims to stay fit, which unfortunately hasn't happened. And I think
on the right side, we're 3 weeks away from the World Cup break.
Yeah.
So only 14 games to squeeze in between now and then. I was never a fan of hosting the World Cup in Qatar to start off with, especially not in November. But to cram as many games in to the beginning of the season, it's ridiculous. Especially when you look at you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's the lad at Chelsea, the right back,
Reece James.
Reece James, they're both injured. Yeah. Kyle Walker's injured. We're left with Jody, Kieran Trippier, and this rate.
Makes a canny free kick though.
Let's not go into Newcastle stuff. It's quite nice being here in Virginia with none around. It's the first place I've ever lived where there's no Geordies. Or at least none.
They'll be there somewhere.
There'll be a rock
the old adage of, you're never more than 2 yards away from a rat. There'll be a Geordie hiding somewhere.
Okay, so halftime came. Gooch went off.
Yeah, thankfully, I guess.
He took the knock. And I thought he was unlucky not to get a free kick for that, because I thought he was fouled in that bit where he got injured. It wasn't his game. Obviously, he was carrying the injury from 10, 15 minutes in. But we looked a different side, different club in the second half.
Yeah.
And again, I think as exciting as it was to watch, and we had a lot of the possession, we had a lot of shots, we had a lot of attacking impetus, I still think we were crying out for a striker.
There was no focal point to the attacks. That was the challenge. Then you could see there were a couple of times when there's the camera panned back, and you could sort of see how many players Wigan had crammed into their penalty area, and it was pretty much their entire team was in the penalty area at one point. Yeah,
I mean, look, from a defensive perspective, getting 7 and 8 men in that box and defending, I think Preston showed against us that was the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But not long. Nice movement from the overlap with Sirkin down the left-hand side, crossing it in and finding Embo in space and win. I think once it went level, I think it was only ever going to be Sunderland who would score again.
Yeah, agreed.
Because as I said, I don't think that Wigan brought anything to the game as far as goal threat was concerned. I think there was a flick from Keane in the second half that went over Pato's bar, but other than that, I don't think I was particularly worried. I mean, there's a few goal mouth scrambles where nobody could get anything on the ball, but yeah, it was all Sunderland today.
Yeah, agreed. And I think credit to Patterson as well. I thought he had a decent game. That he came for the crosses that he was able to come for, and he got touches on the ball when he needed to. There were a couple of deep crosses he punched away and got good contact.
Patterson's been outstanding again this season.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, to be playing with a defensive midfield player and a left back and a defensive three in front of him, neither of whom are particularly well, unless he's 6'2", Bath 6'3" and O'Nine's 5'9".
Mhm.
So there's not exactly towering heights. So to have played as well as he has against teams that have come in and dominated us in the air has been quite impressive. So I've been really happy with Patterson's form this season. And I think
Yeah,
the
really
fact that
good.
we're one of only what, half a dozen teams in the league with a positive goal difference at the moment.
Yeah, it speaks for itself, doesn't it?
It's definitely positive. And the fact that of the promoted 3 after 14 games, we're the highest in the league.
Yeah.
And Wigan we're only a point ahead of Wigan. And then Rotherham are another point behind. But I think it's getting dire for clubs like West Brom, although they won today without Steve Bruce, obviously. But I think when you look at that bottom 6, Coventry, Huddersfield, Borough, Hull, West Brom, Blackpool, maybe even Birmingham, I think they're the teams that are going to be struggling. I think we're going to have a reasonably quiet season.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
I mean, that's what I asked for at the beginning of the season. I was happy with 14, 15, never looking like going down. But I'll be equally happy with top 10 finish.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the second goal now. Oh, the header from
Yeah.
Serkin. I love a diving header. It's the one thing in football I love to see.
It's seeing them wind up, and it looked like he dove in from like the edge of the penalty box almost. He was flying in forever. But
what I thought, the nicest thing about the move for me is the fact that it was able to start with McLean turning his back to ball and moaning at the referee. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Bless him.
So that going 2-1 up. In a game that I honestly didn't think we'd win at the outset. I thought there were too many former Sunderland players in the lineup for us to be able to beat them. Not because they're particularly good, just because we're Sunderland.
Yeah.
And losing to former players is normally what we do. So when the white goal went in, I was like, oh, here it goes. But I thought that Amad Diallo, when he came on, was tidy without.
He was everywhere.
He was. I don't know, but I like him. He always looks like a player when he gets the ball and he makes some good moves. But I just feel as though he's trying to take too many touches, and I think Clark and Roberts are the same.
Yeah.
Because I think there are a couple of opportunities where shots on goal would have been preferable to recycling the ball in the final third.
Yeah.
But again, he looked good coming on. I mean, look, Man U paid 40 million for him. He should be looking good at this level.
Yeah, agreed.
But I was surprised at how few substitutions we made today.
I was kind of relieved that we made so few substitutions. I don't think the ones that we've made in previous games have impacted the game as much as obviously we had hoped that they would do. And I think part of the challenge is obviously it's been pretty much the bands that's been bringing on. So it's been Bar, Michu, Bennett.
Bennett's looked good when he's come on this season, though.
He's looked decent, but I don't think we can rely on him to be that game winner every time. I know he scored on his first game, was the second game, but I think expecting him to do that every time he comes on is asking a little bit much, and I think it sort of dilutes the team a little bit when you bring on like 4 or 5 youngsters at one time. It's just the experience level obviously drops, and it does become a bit sort of headless chicken. Sometimes it will work and it'll come off for us, but
no, and I think it was very headless chicken against Swansea.
Yeah.
But again, I think a lot of that was down to the fact that we didn't have a striker. And the guys, all the players that we brought on are effectively midfield players.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to make those runs the way that Stewart or Sims does. So
yeah, agreed.
But I mean, overall, I think it papered over the cracks of not having a striker more than being a really good performance. I think the fact that Wigan didn't really show up as much as I thought they would. Look, I'm happy with the win. I mean, I'm always going to be happy with a win. But I think it papered over cracks that had we not got those 2 goals, people would have been spitting feathers.
Yeah, I mean, I think I guess Wigan. I expected more of a Swansea-esque performance from Wigan than we got today. I thought they would bully us off the ball. I thought they would chase us down, press us, and they didn't really do any of those things. They were just lumping the ball long a lot of the time. And thankfully, this time Bath played well at the back and was mopping up most of those ones. Or Alacia or Sirkin were sort of getting, even though 9 were getting in between the ball and making it a weak knock on, and then Bath was sweeping up after. So I think that the whole of the defence looked good. I think it was, I guess, heartening to see us go to a 4 at the back and do it and play well. I feel a lot happier personally having a 9 playing at right back than I do at centre back. But yeah, I thought we played well with the back 4, and yeah, it was a deserved win.
Yeah, look, I'm happy with the win. As I felt we pivoted over cracks of not having a striker, but we were the only team who deserved to win. I mean, if you look at the actual stats on the game, I think we had 60% of the play. We had all the shots on target bar 1. Excuse me. And Wigan, as I said, they just didn't show up.
Yeah. I mean, pass accuracy is, so they were down. They were below 70% pass accuracy, which, as I was saying, it's kind of indicative usually of just long balls being punted up front.
That's one thing that irks me with us. We play some really nice passing football, but so often play breaks down because we're passing it behind the man.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just remember the first thing I learned playing football as a kid was play it in the path of the person you're passing it to.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have thought that at the professional level, it would have been easier for them to do.
And that's what we did and did well against Reading. It was passing forward in front of players moving and running onto the ball. Whereas today, I thought particularly in the first half, I thought we were very static. And then it was just the ball carrier running with the ball from a standing position, rather than sort of running at the defence at pace. And I think that was our big problem, because that allowed them to get back in numbers and allowed them to crowd Roberts out, for example. I thought Pritchard had a better game, but yeah, Roberts is, I don't know, I wouldn't say flatters to deceive, but I know he got pretty good ratings in all of the media stuff that I have had a look at, sort of Roker Report, ALS, the Echo, they all gave him good marks. I think he did decent. I don't think he was quite as good as they were making out.
No, I think Frankie was overhyping him as well on the commentary that we're listening to. The way he was talking to players, you'd think he was messy with the ball at his feet, but I mean, like, he did a good job today. I thought he played well, and yeah, he would definitely be in the running for man of the match. For me, I think it was Sirkin. I thought Sirkin came in, settled things down on the left, given that we don't really have a left winger with Clark moving in the middle. The fact that he assisted with one and scored the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and it was nice to get a win. Obviously, I thought we were unlucky against Blackpool and Preston not to take a goal. And obviously Watford was a 2-2 draw down there. So Reading was our last win, so it was nice to get back into winning ways after the defeat against Swansea. For me, I just wish it was the World Cup break now, so that we get Stewart and Sims back. But it's exciting. I mean, is it exciting? I mean, the fact that we haven't had Stewart or Sims for 5 games now, 6 games. In fact, we're still 9th.
Yeah, I think the big worry is, so if you go on Facebook and Twitter, everyone's saying, "Wow, imagine how good we'll be when." And my concern is we're not as good when Sims and or Stewart come back, or it takes them a period to bed back in again. And if we don't start winning games as soon as they drop into the team, whether people are going to start spitting their dummy out. But yeah,
I mean, that's
it'll be
typical.
it'll be well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, just today, I mean, it was as soon as Wigan scored, it was all sack so and so, get rid of, why is Embleton in the team? And to your point, I don't think it wasn't a bad performance in the first half. It wasn't a great performance in the first half, but it was a decent performance, and we didn't deserve to be losing. Well, yeah, thankfully we were able to put that right in the second half and come away with the 3 points.
So looking forward, I think we have the hardest run of games now that we have probably the rest of the season over a 3-game span. We're away at Blackburn on Tuesday night, then home to Burnley on Saturday, and then away to Luton the following Saturday. If we can come away with 3 points from those 3 games, I'll be happy.
Yeah, just the run up to the World Cup is, apart from like Birmingham, but hopefully apart from Birmingham.
I mean, Huddersfield have been wretched this season.
Yeah, but you know how that goes.
We don't do well against wretched teams.
Exactly.
So let's have a look at what you fancy for the charity bet. Five on each of the games. So we got Blackburn away on ESPN Plus will be on Tuesday, or is it DAZN up in Canada?
It will be DAZN, yeah.
So
let's go for a 1-1 draw.
I am going to go with a 1-0 win for Blackburn.
Okay.
I just think they're too strong for us.
Blackburn have yet to draw a game, so perhaps me going for a draw.
There we go. We've had a fair few. We've got 5 draws this season. So, and then next Saturday,
5.
We have we're at home to Burnley. Top of the league.
I think it'll be another Norwich-like game. I think we might lose by 1 goal, 1-0.
I'm going to say we win that 1-0.
Okay.
I don't see us beating Luton. So if I want the 3 points that I want from those 3 games is a win against Burnley, I'll take that.
Right, fair enough.
Okay, so I don't know whether you noticed on the last time we had Sean on. I think it was the 0-0 against Blackpool. I'm switching up the recipient for the charity bets. One of the girls I used to work with back when I was in the UK lost her son. The kid who had the applause on 13th minute today.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a fundraiser for him to donate toys to kids less fortunate in the run up to Christmas. So anything that we were able to miracle from these bets will go there in the run up to Christmas, and then I'll choose something for the new year. Maybe we'll go back to the Bradley Lowry Foundation for that one. Okay. So I'll check out the odds. If either of us are right, we're in for 2 wretched games. A 1-1 and a loss. A 1-0 loss. I think 9-9 would be all right, but now, Justin, obviously you're a big part of the SAF NASA. And I know we have an unofficial NASA event coming up in the next couple of weeks. I think it's the Cardiff game.
It is the Cardiff game, yeah. So we're Mr. Ellington's coming up from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area, to Toronto for the weekend. So there's an open invitation to all and sundry. If you can make it to Toronto, we're going to meet up on the Friday evening after work, have a few beers, and then obviously the following Saturday morning meet for the Cardiff game at 10 o'clock at Craft Brasserie and Grill in Liberty Village, and then keep ourselves entertained for the rest of Saturday. So I know there's a few people coming from sort of the wider Ontario area, I think Mike Lackey might be coming over from Detroit. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a good crowd together and watch the game and hopefully get a good result.
Now there's a link for a Facebook event in there somewhere.
Yeah, Rich Sharp set up some Facebook events. So
if you send that over to me, I'll get it in the description on the YouTube. So anyone who's interested can do that. I've got the wife heading off at the end of November to New Jersey for a few days, so maybe I'll see if I can make that my little pre-Christmas jaunt. And the very last minute if I do. It's one I'm definitely not driving because I see you do it when you go down to Charlotte's games down in North Carolina. And I don't like that drive. It's bad enough going back to Jersey for the 6 hours that takes, but 13 hours I think would be to Toronto. Yeah, I'm good with that.
It's a trek.
How is Charlotte doing with her football? I saw that she was back to full fitness.
Yeah, she played her first reserve game on Thursday, kept a clean sheet, so looking decent. Unfortunately, it's a little bit late in the season now. I think they've only got 2 games left in their conference, so they're unbeaten in the conference. So fingers crossed they'll make postseason. Yeah, you never know what happens with goalkeepers, so we'll see.
I think last time we spoke, she was looking at the Sunderland women's reserves.
Yeah, the under-23s. She had hoped to be graduating this Christmas, but unfortunately the school managed to screw up some of her classes, so she's having to go back next term anyway. So she's got another term in North Carolina, and then we'll see what happens over the summer. Okay, well, Justin, thank you very much for spending the time with me this evening. I'm sorry that I was a little bit later than planned, but obviously I was chasing a small ball around a golf course today. It's quite all right. It's been a pleasure. We will be back next weekend. I think I'll bully Ellington into coming on. He's always happy to join us. Yeah, it's gonna be an awful game. I don't fancy us against these two at all. But all right, guys, thank you very much for watching. I will put the link to the NASA event in Toronto on the 5th of November up for everyone to see. Justin, thanks again for coming, and we'll see you all soon.